we're going to start recording now. Okay, so thank you for joining us again. And let me go back to sharing the PowerPoint. Okay. So some ideas for non-traditional scholarly research include talk to people and ask questions. I gave everyone an example of my journey in exploring character for a novel and how I talked to my uncle from Guatemala about a story that I had heard as a child. And it centered around an object that my father had, which was a red beret with a Guatemalan pin on it. And my following up with asking questions and finding out information about a group from the Guatemalan army called Kaibils, who wore this red beret. And that initiated me in my research journey. So asking questions, following up with my uncle was one way that got me interested in beginning my research on the Kaibils. Another tip is use media like video or photography. So one book that I love that utilizes photography and creative writing is called The Sweet Flypaper of Life. And this was a collaboration between Roy de Carava, who was a photographer during the Harlem Renaissance, and also writer Langston Hughes, who's a very well-regarded poet and writer and thinker from the Harlem Renaissance as well. So I love showing students this merging of photography that inspired Langston Hughes to create a narrative around the photographs of that Roy de Carava took. So these are just some examples of the cover page and one of the photos inside. Another tip is to get outside stimulation. So go out for a walk or a nature spot you like to think through a writing idea. Sometimes we get stuck and fall into what I call the twilight zone, when you've been in front of the screen too long and you're not even working or thinking anymore. So that's your body telling you, you need a break. Take a break, then come back refreshed and ready for new ideas. So here are some ideas on how to integrate interdisciplinary approaches that will enhance your writing skills. So one example I like to give is a paper that I wrote some years ago for a writing award competition for a national women's organization. It was an essay contest that they were doing for students. And I was writing a paper for one of my courses at the time. It was like a magical realist literature course. And I titled my paper, Magical Realism and Women in the Film Like Water for Chocolate. So this is a way of merging one discipline, which is film or cinema, with the English discipline, and that inspired me to create something that was interdisciplinary. And I was able to go to a conference where I was invited to present my paper. I think I won second place in the competition. And it was a great experience for me to travel to Chicago and present and meet like-minded academics who were also writing very interesting things and talking about issues that were close to my heart. Another idea is to let a striking image inspire you. So I talked a little bit about how Langston Hughes was inspired by Roy de Carava's photography, right? So that's one example of letting images inspire you to write more creative work. Also, the other tip is to create art yourself or create content yourself. So seeing the work from Langston Hughes and De Carava inspired me to take photos and make videos during a stay in Guatemala some years back, during a stressful time in my life when I was a dream student. And I went back to Guatemala to see if the judge would let me back into the country. And I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was very stressed, but also very happy to see my family after so many years. And I took the opportunity to take a lot of pictures of the family, of my neighbors, of the animals in the area, and uploaded a bunch of photos on Facebook, which in turn inspired me to write poems and narratives. And sometimes it's great to have an image of something because it helps you remember details that you may not remember from just memory alone. So I always encourage you utilizing your camera, and it doesn't have to be a professional camera. It can be your phone. Also, taking video helps you remember mannerisms, conversations, that details that you otherwise wouldn't remember. So now I want to open up the discussion to see what other ideas you have. And you can keep an idea journal of your favorites or journal writing ideas. But let me stop the share and just either jump in or raise your hand and tell me some creative ideas that you have that you think can help you be a better writer or better creative writer or creative person, and just share it with the floor right now. And it could be something that you have tried before or something that you've never tried, but it just popped into your head. Okay, Gia?
I had an idea similar to what you were saying, just that one of my favorite albums, I had the idea to like write a poem about each of the different songs on the album. And then like, that was just all I had to say. It kind of reminded me of what you were saying.
Oh, that's really cool. I love that. Let me write it down. So writing ideas after playing a favorite album. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Album. And yeah, being inspired by music. That's a great idea. Thank you for sharing. Any other ideas? If you think of any, you can also drop them in the chat. Let me. Okay. So another idea that one of my colleagues shared with me too was picking a time to write that is a little bit more consistent. So sometimes, you know, we're super busy with everything, and picking a time in your schedule that is somewhat consistent can help encourage you to make time that is outside of your, you know, very busy schedule, and could put you in a mind frame where you're not as stressed and you're a little bit more free to engage in concentrated writing, right? Other great ideas here from Jane. Traveling inspires me, definitely. That's another favorite of mine. So traveling, yes, great idea. Max, sometimes I try and write in the same place, especially when I was working on my thesis, was really helpful. Yeah, that's a great point. it kind of goes to the issue of consistency, but also it seems to me like finding a place that's a haven or safe for you so that you can put yourself in that mind frame, right? So great ideas, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so yeah, keep an idea journal of your favorites and come up with a list of some things that work great for you. And whenever you're stuck, you can go back and just go through those ideas to remind yourself, this is something that I do that works for me, or ideas that others have shared. So this kind of goes along with what some of you have shared. You know, traveling is also one of my favorites. I wrote that as well. And this can be close or far. I know that, you know, there were times in my life when I couldn't afford traveling to some of the places that I wanted. So sometimes traveling even just to the library and losing yourself in books, you know, is something that might work for you at a certain point in your life before you're able to travel far and wide. Or you can go to a museum. I like to go to the Academy of Arts and Sciences in San Francisco. And here I have a picture of T-Rex with a mask that I thought was pretty funny. So I like to do some science research and look at the animals or look at write-ups and exhibits that they do there. So animals, being out in nature, places, traveling, and then people. I talked a little bit about the conversations that I had with my uncle in Guatemala. Also have had many conversations with different members of my family, and it's super interesting to get different angles of the same story and seeing how much they vary, right? So doing interviews with people. With interviews, you can do a phone interview, you can do a Zoom interview, or you can do an in-person interview. And all of these modalities may give you different information. You can also use a recorder. Sometimes with iPhones, there are ready-to-go apps that allow you to just go to the settings, record, and then that way you'll remember the conversation a little bit better than from memory alone. Or you can take notes and do it that way. Photo albums, also talked a little bit about creating Facebook photo albums, right? You can also store them in your computer. And then I want to move on to some internet sources. Many of us are already familiar with Wikipedia, but the reason I put it here is because when I started researching Kaibil's, I didn't find as much content in some of the databases that I was looking at, the academic databases. So I started from very basic Wikipedia entry, and that led me to some results. And at the end of the Wikipedia entry, there were citations that I think of it as like following the bunny trail is what I call it. And that led me to more entries that led me to more entries, right? More resources. So sometimes if it's like a pop culture topic or something like that, you might have better luck there. Another great source that we have that is free to you as a student here at DVC is the New York Times. So we have a free subscription to the New York Times, and you can just create an account quickly with your name. Make sure you use your DVC email when you sign up for it, and it'll be good for a year. So check that out. And when you access this presentation, you can go straight to the link here. Everything that is underlined, like Wikipedia, New York Times, and government documents, these are access points that you can click on the presentation and go there directly. Okay, and I'll review the link of how to sign into the presentation again when we break for the activity. But another tip is if you're searching for government documents, one trick of the trade that you can do is type in cite then a colon, and then GOV for gov, the plus sign, and then your topic. So for example, if I'm interested in researching, the CIA intervention in Guatemala or something like that during the Civil War, then by typing my topic plus site colon gov, it's only going to show me entries that end in .gov. So all of those will be published by the government. Same thing with .edu content. So if you're looking for content that was published or created by educational institutions such as universities or colleges, then you can do the same thing, site colon edu plus your topic, and that will give you related entries. And then finally, social media can be a great source for information. If you have a certain topic that maybe it's not something that you can find in a database easily. For example, I want to learn a little bit about mermaid folklore. I might join a Facebook group on mermaids and mermaid fans. Or if I wanted to research someone who is a specialist in a given topic, for example, someone who has written a lot of business literature and is and it's doing great work in the field, I would say, in addition to reading their literature, you can friend them on their Twitter account or their Facebook account or LinkedIn account and follow them. And you'll find a lot of useful information and also a strong network of people who are having the same type of conversation, right? And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about databases and archives. So in our library page, we have access to OneSearch, which is a portal that allows you to search for all our database content combined and all our catalog holdings combined. So let me show you how to do that. Let me stop the share and then let me demo it a little bit for you. Oops. Oh. So to access our library page, you can go to DVC library. Just Google that. It's usually the first entry that comes up. So here I am at DVC library, and I'm going to click on that. And this is what our library page looks like. When you scroll down, you're going to see the OneSearch window. So you're going to type in a search term. So for example, let's do something like, oh, this is like the chat help. If, by the way, we have a 24/7 chat where you can chat with a librarian and ask anything about research questions, citation help, or anything. So this usually comes up when you're in the library page. So I'm gonna say no thanks right now. And I'm going to type in bilingual education. If let's say that I'm interested in searching that as an academic topic for an essay, then click search. And this is going to take you to multiple entries that come up with that key term. So there's over 19,000 results for the term bilingual education. And I can scroll down and see what type it is. There's videos, there's books, there's websites, there's newspaper articles. And when I scroll to the bottom, there's a number of pages that you can keep going to the next page. So this is a very wide search, and 2 tips that I'm going to give you to narrow your search a little bit. is to go to the left hand of the column here where it says resource type. So I'm going to go to show more, and you're going to see all the options there. So you can look for books or articles or websites, etc. And this one took me to videos, but I'm going to close that and reset it. Sometimes the screen can be a little bit sensitive. Okay, so let me go back to show more. Okay, so there's even archival material and manuscripts. So this is if you want to get a little bit more in depth with the archive world. Click on that, and it's just going to show me open access entries, which basically means anyone can access this content, not just DVC students, because it's open access on the web. So I can scroll down and see if there's any entries that interest me. And this one kind of pops out at me. It says United States contributions to children's rights, an overview of the 20th century. So I'm interested, how does this relate to bilingual education? Let me click on it. So this will take you to the database where this source is housed, and it's going to take you to the description of the source. So here you see the keyword I highlighted, bilingual education, and it's talking about the Bilingual Education Act as a contribution to the promotion of children's rights. So maybe I didn't even know that I wanted to be that specific. I just started with bilingual education search, but maybe now I'm interested in researching a little bit more about the Bilingual Education Act and what that is. So that's a new key term that I could then enter and find out more information about in addition to this one. So I won't go into the whole in-depth research process on this particular entry, but I just want to highlight in general that whenever you see the view online, access online resource, that's the database where this is housed. And when you click on that, it's going to prompt your Insight login and then the password. And for this one, it might be easier because it's available online, but others are only available to you as a DVC student. So that's just like a privilege of information that you have as a college student. And once you sign in, then you'll be able to see the article or the book content right away, unless it's a print source. But if it says online, it should be instant access, okay? So let me also highlight one more item. If we go back to our search here, a really important one is publication date. When you click on publication date, you see that everything here is showing content from 1979 to 2000. So if I want to be a little bit more current, I might change that and type in, something like 2018 to 2022, and then click refine. And now it's going to show me a narrower pool. So now it went to just 14 results, right? So that's a way to narrow your search a little bit more. If you're doing historical research, then maybe focus in on the decade that you're researching or the year you're researching, or maybe you just leave it open and you don't have to worry about the date so much because you're cool with just doing historical research. Okay, so let me stop the share and check in with you and see if there's any questions that you have. Ask away, chime in or raise your hand.
Just gonna say, you mentioned the chat box for the library, and I posted in the chat that it is super helpful because I've reached out to the librarians when I'm trying to look for some resources for the classes that I teach at LMC. So they are super helpful. So definitely utilize that option.
Oh, thank you so much, Max. Yes, it's great to have that. It's a great service. So I encourage everyone to try it out. And And let me close this. Okay, so any other questions, comments, observations on what we covered so far? Okay, and I also want to highlight that databases like OneSearch can also be great for creative topics. It doesn't have to be strictly academic. So I would say just try it out and see if your topic is there, because you would be very surprised. I've had students who, you know, have done papers researching a particular spider for like a speech that they have coming up. And they tried OneSearch and came up with really cool entries and even images in the search options. For resources, there's also sometimes like an image option pops up. It did for the spider key term. And there were like really awesome images of spiders, which, you know, you can look at or even use in your speech assignment, for example. Okay, so let me go back to our presentation. And go back to the present view. Okay, so I talked about OneSearch. Also, there's this link that I put in here that it's called A through C list of databases. So in addition to typing in a keyword on OneSearch, like I showed you, you can also go to our website and click on the A through C list of databases, or just go straight on this link, and it's going to show you this this page, which is an alphabetized list of all the databases we have. So we have 46 databases. Some of them are streaming movies and films. For example, Films on Demand is a streaming video platform. And you can read the database title and the description for that given database right under it. Another option too is you can click on choose subject. And if there's a given discipline, for example, let's say that you're doing art and digital media, you can click on that and it's gonna give you recommendations for the best bet databases related to that theme. So there's Artstor, there's Films on Demand, there's Canopy, also kind of like a Netflix-like survey service for college campuses. So these are just really cool options that you have to search for content. And then finally, this one I'm not going to go into because it's a little bit more detailed. I could probably do a separate presentation just on the Online Archive of California. But I just wanted to drop it in there because if there's a very in-depth research topic that you want to do, like, you know, research university archives, history, this is a great site for searching historical content, politics. So anything like that you might find in a university database or archive, the Online Archive of California can be a great option to search for that kind of content. And if you have any questions, if you end up exploring it, going deep into the weeds and you need a little bit of help, reach out to me. I'll drop my information at the end of the presentation and I can walk you through that particular portal. Okay. So the next slide is giving you creative ideas on ways to search for content. From my little demo on OneSearch, you may have noticed that entering keywords is a really important piece of coming upon good content that you may find for your essay writing assignments. So one of the things I like to recommend to students is using cool tools like Jamboard. to brainstorm keyword topics that might be related to the search you're doing. Or you can go old school and use a piece of paper and crayons and just, you know, use some color and write ideas down. So I'm not gonna go into the Jamboard tutorial, but I just want to mention that I created a tutorial for you to look at after, whenever you have free time, if you want to explore this tool. And it's just like a couple of minute tutorial to show you how the Jamboard tool works. It's super easy. It takes like probably 2 minutes to figure it out. But this is what the end result looks like. So they have what's called sticky notes, and they're all in different colors for you to pick from. And one of the exercises that I have students doing courses is have like a writing prompt, like, what are your identities or interests? So one of the ways that I answer this question was, Lynda, you're a librarian. And then I wrote being bilingual. So then another prompt is brainstorm other terms related to the topic you picked. So in addition to the term being bilingual, I brainstorm bilingual education, bilingual students, bilingualism, bilingual schools, bilingual children, bilingual courses, and bilingual education in California. So all of those can give me different search results and different content, right? Another academic topic idea related to that brainstorm list could be bilingual education in California. And then if I want to think of a creative writing topic, I was a little bit inspired by Jamboard because you can search for pictures on Google that come up and insert them in your Jamboard. So it gave me back a being bilingual infographic with it looks like a kid who has a superhero cape and the B in the middle for being bilingual. So I thought, oh, that's cool. What about a creative idea topic, a bilingual superhero who goes unnoticed? So that's just you know, some fun brainstorming that I did to kind of model a similar search that you might do for your own topic. And I showed you how to do the searching by subject on the online database. So that's another tip of searching by subject. And then the final one is going to an information specialist. So here is my information. My name is Lynda Latona. My nickname is Luna. That's my digital name. And I am a librarian and creative writer, and my email is lletona@dvc.edu. So don't be shy, like Max mentioned, going to the chat when you have a question anytime during the day can be great. Reach out to a librarian. We are information specialists. Or, you know, down the line, if you ever visit an archive or a museum, ask questions of the people who work there because they have a lot of training in information. So they'll be able to help you find that information that you are seeking. And then I'm interested in learning a little bit more about some of the creative topics that you are interested in researching, or just things that you are working for your courses. So whether it's a creative topic idea that you have, or an academic one, or a professional one, if you're searching for jobs and you're in a marketplace and trying to prepare for a job interview, I want you to share in the chat some creative topics that you may have. So go ahead and jot some ideas down, and let's take some time to brainstorm that. Also, if you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'm caught off guard, I don't have an idea in mind, think about my identity Jamboard, where I thought of what are things that I would say to someone I don't know that is part of my identity. So maybe being Latinx, being Guatemalan, being bilingual, being a librarian, being interested in mermaid folklore, you know, whatever. Think about your identity as a topic. Another tip is think about a social justice movement that is close to your heart. So for example, having been a former dreamer, I'm very interested in advocacy for dream students. Maybe that's a social movement that I'm interested in researching. And then thinking about a narrative essay assignment or other assignments that you have for class that are pressing right now and that they are on your mind, like drop that in the chat box too. So go ahead and let's work on that for 2 minutes and let's see what we come up with. Okay, so I'm just reading some of your entries. Great writing ideas here for research, and I'm just playing some meditation music for the last few seconds. So keep the ideas coming. So we have interest in researching alternatives to animal testing, researching different oil pastel artwork to relate them to ideas we are discussing in my humanities course, and interested in learning and researching about different cultures. Some great topics. And researching artwork and their meanings. Okay. So great ideas and entries. Let me pause the meditation music that is totally relaxing me right now and share my screen, and let's see if the topic of animal researching is in our CQ database. So another way to get to our list of databases besides jumping into the link that I showed you in our PowerPoint is going back to the DVC library page. So let me Google that and it's the first entry that comes up, right? So scrolling down, and there's a find column. The first column at the bottom says A through C list of databases on the third tab. So let me click on that. That's another pathway on getting here. And then on the right-hand side, can everyone see what I'm doing? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. And the popular databases here has a database that is called CQ Researcher. And this usually has hot topics. And the librarians always like make fun of that because they're like, oh, you're talking about the store. And then we all laugh because we're geeks. But issues covered include political and social topics. So let me click on that. And then it's going to ask you to log in with your Insight login and password. Unless I'm already logged in, then it's not going to ask me for do that. So I was already logged in. And this database is a little bit different than the others. The look is a little bit different. It has what's called reports. So the reports are based on a given popular or topic that you can note here, for example, climate change, gun control, healthcare policy, inflation, etc., LGBTQ rights. So you can search by browsing topics on the tab Browse Topics, or you can enter a keyword on the upper right-hand side. So let me do animal testing and see if we get any results. And it's going super slow. It's doing like the teasing wheel is what I call it. That wheel teases me so much. Okay, so here are some results for animal testing. And for example, some of the heading topics are health and safety regulations. But this one's not really relevant. It says procedures and testing the aircraft. So the future of meat. And then it talks a little bit about animal feed and livestock. This only has testing in terms of COVID. Animal sourced foods, food security. So one tip that I like to use for databases, if you want to narrow down a topic that's a little bit more related to your search, is you put it in quotation marks, because now it's going to search those two words combined together. And let's see if that gives us better search results. Okay, so this one talks about animal research facility. There it is. So here is protecting animals, supports animal, the Foundation for Biomedical Research supports animal testing. So that might not quite be, in favor of your topic, but it looks like this protecting animals might be up your research alley. So just note that the date says 2018, so it can be a little bit dated. But if you click on it, then you're going to see a little bit more information on this particular topic. And here is an intro, background on the topic, pro and con views on animal testing, and then a bibliography that is going to show you a lot of sources related to this topic. So you're going to be able to follow the bunny trail, as I mentioned before. And one quick tip to search for something that, for example, look at this. I'm scrolling down. This is super long, right? So a quick tip that I like to give students is if you go to Command F on your keyboard, a window will pop up that will enable you to enter a search term. So I can enter animal testing again. And here's it highlighted the term on another section of the page. And then I can keep clicking enter to see if there's more. So there was only one here. And this just might mean that after you explore it and read the headlines or explore some of the tabs, if it doesn't have a lot of information like you hoped it would, then that's okay. We try another database, or we go back to the library page and click on one search, animal testing. I bet that there's going to be thousands of results on that topic, and you can narrow it down a little bit more. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of like demo another database option and a topic that one of you were interested in, so we can see how that works in real time. Okay, so thank you for sharing your topics and helping me brainstorm. Feel free to explore the Jamboard tool or try searching CQ Researcher for social justice movements topic ideas like I showed you. And go back to this slide where there's other options like the New York Times, government documents on the open web, and then one search or the list of databases. So you have lots of options there. And to end my presentation, I want to end with 3 bits of advice. One is make sure you're keeping track of your sources. When you're starting as a researcher, sometimes you might get excited or you come upon like 10 different things that you're interested in reading. It's important that you save the citation for that given source. And the cool thing about databases is that it allows you to copy and paste citations that are sort of like ready to go. OneSearch also allows you that option. So if you have more questions on citations and how that works, feel free to reach out to me and ask. Another thing too is that databases change sometimes content from day to day. So what you search in a database one day may not be there the next day. Databases also allow you the option to email the article to yourself so that you have it and download it in your laptop and then you don't lose it. The next bit of advice is keeping a balance between research and your voice. It's important that when you're doing research, you don't obliterate your voice. Make sure that there's a balance between what you're searching and the story that you want to tell, your own narrative, or how you're thinking about this topic. Maybe in the intro paragraph, you tell us why you're interested in this topic and hook the reader. So professors love hearing your voice and your thoughts about the research that you're doing. They don't just want to see you copy and paste stuff. Also, it's not a good idea to copy and paste items from research because then you're getting into hot waters of plagiarism. So avoid plagiarism, make sure that you're citing, giving credit to the sources that you're borrowing from, and extracting the citation from the databases at the end, okay? And there's going to be additional college success workshops on just devoted to citation. So keep an eye out for that, or ask us via chat or email me and ask me, how do you do citations if you're needing help with that. So I'm going to end there and just say thank you so much for visiting with us. My name is Lynda Latona again, and my email is lletona@dvc.edu if you have any questions. I'm also gonna stay here for a minute or two to see if there's any immediate questions that you have following our presentation. So thank you for stopping by, and you're welcome.
I just posted the survey in the chat box too, if you all want to open that link up. But I took attendance too, so I can follow up just in case you all didn't click the link. Let me put it in here one more time. This is a survey link, and it just helps us as we move forward with different workshops that we host in the fall and also going into the spring as well. So we really appreciate your feedback.
Oh, thank you so much, Max. Yes, please fill out the survey and tell us how you like the workshop and how we can improve it. Any questions that you have for now? Feel free to raise your hand or jump in. Okay, So I'll just hang out here while you fill out the survey, and if anything comes up, just drop it in the chat and then I'm gonna pop out.